How many times have you bought something because everyone around you was wearing it, only to realize later on that it doesn't truly represent who you are? Have you noticed the sea of Adidas Gazelle out there? Do you own a pair? Be honest. Today we are diving into why that happens and how you can break free from those influences to find your authentic style. As people, we want to fit in, to bond with others. Sometimes we seek acceptance, respect, and approval of our peers. These are survival inclinations our brain is still wired to have because for most of the human history, our ancestors lived in tribes. Being cast out from the tribe was a death sentence, while those who bonded with others survived and thrived. And this need to belong applies actually in all areas of our life, including fashion and the way we sometimes choose our clothes and even style. This need to belong can translate into purchasing clothing that aligns with the style of our close ones, our family and friends whose opinions we value most. The many, be it our small community or society at large, like the sea of people you see wearing Adidas Gazelle. And the powerful, anyone whose style you admire from a distance. And this category we will discuss at length in the third part of this video because the most biased thoughts and negative influence actually comes from this category. We have all been there, as children trying our mother's clothes or as teenagers matching outfits with our best friends. These are natural phases where we imitate those close to us. And then the powerful, or at least what we perceive powerful. I remember it clearly how in the late 90s I have been wearing on repeat these huge platforms that the Spice Girls made famous. It's a pattern we carry into adulthood, where we continue to follow the style script handed down to us by the same three groups actually, the close, the many, and the powerful, which have meanwhile changed depending on our lifestyle, professional, and also interest. I am still inspired by my mother's choices in clothing. Look at the red dress I bought once I saw a red dress on my mom. This is an example of positive influence. Even though you may think you are not influenced in any way, be it positive or negative, the values your parents live by are still very much rooted in the way you choose to dress. I challenge you to make an exercise with me to better understand this, because only by making this exercise you will start being aware of your thoughts when you choose your garments. The garments you don't allow yourself to wear are actually more relevant than the ones you buy. I prepared a document to help you determine the limiting beliefs. You can download it from the description below. What you actually have to do is to list down 3 to 5 items you will never wear or not wear in a certain context or a certain shape or form, and also why. I will show you now my limiting beliefs, but also the limiting beliefs of other ladies with whom I discussed. For example, the capri pants, because this was the fashion of the 90s when all the moms were wearing it. Plus, they were wearing it with mainly mules, which is how the catwalk looks these days. Secondly, I didn't want to wear a scarf in this shape because this is the way all ladies and grandmas mainly were wearing in the countryside where my grandparents were living. A jumpsuit at a wedding, because the dress is the only accepted garment by the society rules. Now list also what I heard from other ladies. For example, short skirts, because her mom told her ever since she was a teenager that it does not fit her short and muscular legs. Or crop tops after the age of 25. This is not an age-appropriate type of dressing. Now stay with this list and try to understand where these limiting beliefs are coming from. Again, this may be something that you experience as a teenager or child, but it may be also the peers' pressure in adulthood. Do you remember your first working place and probably how you tried to adapt your style based on what the colleagues were wearing? I think this is something we do no matter the dress code or the lack of dress codes, especially in that period of our lives. Our need to belong and be accepted can be very strong, and we may be more inclined to imitate a colleague's style. Specifically, when you are not certain of your style, you may fall into this trap, either to splurge on clothes, if this is the environment where you are working and this is what your peers are doing, or to dress down if that is the case. Would that work in the long run? Well, if you splurge on clothes as a junior, most probably it will be burdensome financially. If you dress down and you are not true to yourself, can also influence your mood, your creativity, and basically you will never be satisfied with your wardrobe. Knowing your unique style and understanding that you are not an outcast if you do not dress like the rest of the people at work is really beneficial actually. And this is not only applicable to juniors or when we start our career, it can happen later in our career as well. When we move jobs or industry or countries, if the workplace culture and the style of our colleagues is very different from what we were used to wear, you will need a lot of power to stand your ground and face the peer pressure. This was my experience when I moved to the Netherlands. Being on high heels and pencil skirts when everybody else was wearing sneakers and jeans or flats and jeans and a jacket once in a while put a bit, if not a lot of pressure actually. But I did not want to give up entirely. I wanted to stay true to who I was. Going against the grain of the culture and basically challenging the tribe, the many, requires extra effort. In the end, I have to admit, I gave up a couple of the pencil skirts, a couple of the high heels, bought one or two pair of flats and even sneakers, but I still kept my classic with dramatic elements rather than casual style. If you have a stricter business casual code, like you see the one in my video here, there is still room to show your personality. While when you have a casual dress code, you can really create an authentic work wardrobe. So now let's do another exercise with me. List down 5 items you bought because you saw a work colleague or a peer wearing a similar piece. I again prepared a document for you where you can do this. Then list the satisfactory value of the item from 1 to 5, 1 implying you are unsatisfied with the garment and you rarely wear it or almost never, and 5 that you are very satisfied with the item and you wear it often. Getting inspiration from our peers when we buy garments can be beneficial. We do not always feel an implicit pressure to conform or give up our style entirely, fearing that standing out could lead to social exclusion, isn't it? Now, most probably that fear is not as conscious, so you may not even perceive it as a fear. Peer pressure is subtle sometimes. We don't even realize it, but it is very powerful. Whether it's wearing a suit to a job interview or adopting the latest trends to stay relevant, social norms influence how we dress. But while they offer guidance, they can also limit our true style by pushing us towards conformity instead of individuality. This is why it is important to understand where our beliefs come from and how we can actually dismantle this. I hope that after these exercises that we did together, you can spot those limiting beliefs that stop you from creating a unique and authentic style. Now let's talk about the third category, the powerful. There is no doubt that one of the most important influence on our style today are the social media influencers. But why do we follow them so eagerly, often allowing their choices to shape our own? The answer lies in our evolutionary history. Our ancestors thrived by aligning with the powerful members of their tribes. The powerful set the standards, led the way, and their choices often dictated survival. This instinct to follow power is still very much alive in us, even if the stakes aren't as high today as they were in the past. In the modern world, influencers have come to actually embody this power. With their fast following, carefully curated images, and apparent success, they represent a form of social power that many aspire to. But here's the catch. This power is often an illusion. Influencers appear often attractive, successful, and socially adept. This positive overall impression spills over into our perception of their fashion choices. We subconsciously believe that by wearing what they are wearing, we might also acquire some of their desirable traits. By dressing like them, we feel a step closer to achieving that idealized version of ourselves, even if it means staying away from our true style. And actually, I have a video here about fantasy self that delves even more into the details of this idealized version of ourselves. However, it's crucial to remember that influencers, despite their powerful image, often don't have the expertise to guide us in developing our personal style that truly fits us. Their business model is built on promoting trends and products, not necessarily on understanding what works for you as an individual. Many times, unlike us, influencers often receive clothing for free and are not bound by the same budget constraints. They can afford to experiment with trends without the same financial risk. So while influencers can offer inspiration, it's important to recognize the psychological forces at play and the illusion of power they may represent. By doing so, we can make more conscious fashion choices that reflect our true selves, rather than simply following the perceived power of others. Understanding all of this can help us make more mindful fashion choices, balancing our desire for connection with staying true to our personal style and values. Recognizing these influences from these three categories is the first step towards breaking free from them. Not all influence is negative. Sometimes following a group can make it easier to build your style. But it's important to be aware of when this influence is helping you and when it's holding you back. Ultimately, your style should reflect who you are, not just who you want to fit in with. By being mindful of the influence around you, you can build a wardrobe that's true to yourself, not just to the latest trend or group norm. Embrace your unique style, like I always like to say. It's the most sustainable, authentic, and satisfying way to dress. Until next time, keep it colorful.